This is the Solo Coach podcast, where it's all about everything you need to build your business solo. Look, building a business alone can feel almost impossible. There's just so much to get done. That's just your doubt talking. I'm Michelle Sarah, and I'm here to talk you through building a one-woman coaching business from the ground up. I'm talking marketing, time-saving systems, AI shortcuts, client attraction, energy, and belief, all to help you find your way, no matter your age, stage, or starting point. Ready? Let's get going. It's very common that most coaches out there trying to build a freedom-based business are doing so inside someone else's structure. You know, you create a coaching program like this and you deliver it like that and done. Weekly Zoom calls, 1-hour sessions, everything on the calendar. Everyone is doing it the exact same way. And it's no wonder so many coaches feel boxed in, burned out, or just quietly resentful of the thing they used to love, or for that matter, frustrated that something isn't working. Now, I want to pause to say, following a proven approach or format isn't a bad thing. It's actually something I recommend when you don't have any idea where to start, right? It's a matter of doing what works until you get traction and then bringing in your own unique elements to that and refining from there. However, if you follow another approach, a kind of canned system, right, at the expense of your own happiness in your business, that's a problem. Or if you're trying to use a traditional approach, a traditional model with a non-traditional audience, that could be a problem too. Here's what I know. And this is after years and years of working behind the scenes of multi-million-dollar coaching companies, witnessing many different approaches and models. However, I will say that for the most part, there's a common thread between all of them, right? If you are feeling unhappy or maybe even burning out or that frustration of not getting any traction, you don't need more time or to create more content if you're already creating a lot. You need more delivery freedom. Now, this is especially for those who are already getting clients and are just not loving the work as much as they thought they would, or for those who, as I said, have maybe a unique audience or you have an audience that you haven't really looked at how they consume content or how they need to be supported, and you're not getting the traction needed. The way you deliver your coaching offer should support your energy and your client's real life needs, not drain you both, or for that matter, not speak to your audience, right? So let's flip this whole thing on its head. What if you could create a smorgasbord of coaching options that felt really good to offer and easy for clients to say yes to? I want to give you 17 powerful coaching formats, plus how to choose the ones that work best for you and how you want to coach. And let me be really, really clear. This isn't about offering so much that people feel overwhelmed and they don't choose anything. No, this is about experimenting with different coaching formats and delivery methods until you find what fits you and your clients perfectly and beautifully. You know, you have to be willing to experiment, especially if you have already tried some traditional approaches and they haven't worked well for you. Then you have to be willing to experiment to find what does work well for you. You have to be able to look at that and say, you know, this coaching business, this business of mine that I want to build and grow is so very important to me that I'm going to do whatever it takes to make it a success. And if that means it's going to take me a while to experiment and throw different things out there until I find what works, then so be it, because it matters to me that much. Stop forcing the boxed in coaching model. Here's a myth. Great coaching equals 60-minute weekly Zoom calls. Now, I'm laughing because I have Zoom calls in my coaching offer, right? I don't do one weekly in the mastermind. I do weekly for one-to-one clients, but that seems to work well so far for me. But there's some other delivery methods that I also have in place that work really well. So for me, I have a hybrid approach to traditional delivery methods and some non-traditional delivery methods. And I'm constantly experimenting and testing because I'm always looking to refine to get to that point of where this is absolutely perfect for me and my clients. So the whole, 60-minute weekly Zoom calls is not necessarily the best coaching delivery method for every coach and every client. That one-size-fits-all model is often the reason coaches start feeling trapped in their own business, or how they start feeling like nothing is really working. I can remember years and years ago when I was coaching for one of these bigger companies, and every week I had a group coaching call to teach marketing and to coach around building out funnels and developing offers and copy and messaging and mindset and so on. And it was always the same. I noticed that there would be this small percentage of people on the call who always spoke up first, asked their questions, kind of, pushed themselves to the front of the room, so to speak, the virtual room, and got involved. And then there was the much larger portion of people who were just quietly listening and observing. And, that would be me in the room because I am very much the introvert. I am the one who will go sit in the back of the room, right? And I watch everyone, I observe everyone, and I listen, and I don't always speak up. And oftentimes that's because I need to process the information and come back later with questions. Like the questions aren't necessarily going to pop up for me in the moment. And so there are a lot of people, a lot of clients where this is the same thing, right? This is the same thing for them. And in realizing that during that time that I was coaching for that company, I brought that forward with me in building my own coaching business because I want to make sure that for me, being this hybrid method that I use, this hybrid delivery method, that I am giving a platform to those who want to be at the front of the room and ask questions steadily throughout our time together. And I also want to give voice to those who need to listen and process and come back later with questions. Keep that in mind as you are learning more and more about your target audience. And sometimes it isn't just that, right? Sometimes it's a matter of how much time do they have in their day? How much time, maybe they do have some extra time, but at that point, how much mental energy do they have? How can we support them where they are? All right, so that's enough of me ranting, or not ranting, but kind of going into the rabbit hole of people and our unique minds and our unique lives. Let's go a little bit deeper into this topic and these different coaching delivery formats. So, if the structure of your coaching delivery isn't right for you and your people, it doesn't matter how good your offer is, you'll dread delivering it. You'll keep pushing it off, visibility, it won't be appealing, and you'll avoid selling it altogether because you don't really want to do that. On the flip side of that, if it isn't a match to your audience, it will not grab their attention because it will not be appealing to them either. Because the way it is set up can suck the energy out of you instead of fueling your momentum. If you're just, following someone else's format without testing to see if that really works for you or not, there could be some energy under the surface there that's really working against you. So here's your reframe. Instead of building a rigid coaching offer, think of yourself like a chef designing a menu. Not everyone is going to want the same thing. You don't want to get bored by creating the same thing over and over, and a little creativity can go a long way. In the same way, you may be someone who does really well with having a very predictable, consistent format that fuels you. Just make sure that that also matches your target audience. You don't need to reinvent your business to make it lighter. So if you've been doing this a while, you don't need to change everything. You just need to rethink the how of your delivery. And I want that word lighter to be key. You will know how it feels when you maybe even just listening now as we go through these 17 coaching formats, you may hear it and you may feel it in this moment when it feels lighter. But as you're developing it and as you're experimenting with it, you're going to feel a difference, right? And you'll know in that sense what is more aligned with you. And so then you're just finding that sweet spot between what is aligned with you and what is aligned for your clients. So the first one is there's phone coaching. Ideal when video is too much, clear, focused, no Zoom fatigue. Remember phones? Remember the thing that we could pick up and dial a number and call someone and talk to them, and it didn't matter what we looked like because we aren't on video, we aren't on all the time? My goodness, how refreshing would that be? So phone coaching is still a viable option. Think about your audience. Maybe you work with an audience who has a very grueling work schedule, and when they're off, they're off. Like they really don't have a whole lot of energy to present themselves well, or I should say, feel like they have to present themselves well, right? Maybe, just think about it that way. Like really dig into the life of your ideal client. And maybe phone is just fine for them. Voxer is a number 2, or any voice note platform. There are others out there for sure. So async, energy-friendly, personal, flexible support without scheduling. This is part of what I use in my coaching delivery format. As I said, it's hybrid. So I have Zoom calls, but I also have Voxer, because what that enables your client to do is at any point in time that they have a question, they can simply Voxer you. And as long as you're clear on what your response time generally is, like I give myself, if it's something I'm reviewing with feedback, I give myself 48 hours. It's generally same day, but I still give myself that because sometimes, schedules get super busy. And then anything else, any other general question is 24 hours. Again, I'm usually answering same day, sometimes, 24 hours, but I just give that flexibility because I know that there are times when I may need that extra time to respond. Number 3, text-based coaching. Great for quick support, accountability, or helping overthinkers move forward. Again, like if you're, you think about what I was sharing about myself and how I process information. Text-based coaching would be great for me because I need to think about something and process it and come back. And for me, especially because I do write a lot. I am a writer, a copywriter, and more. Sometimes I find that I write better than I speak. So thought to written words sometimes is more thorough and expressive than thought to spoken words, if that makes sense. Number 4, email coaching, very similar. So you can have time to reflect, and this also creates a written archive, something that tracks everything and is easy for your people to find. Hybrid coaching, just as I've shared about my own, you can combine formats. Start with Zoom, then shift to async support. Accountability coaching, momentum based, focused on support, not solve. You don't have to solve everything. You're simply there to hold someone accountable who has a plan and is able to move forward. We all need accountability. I need accountability. And so it could be a great feature that you add into a hybrid delivery format. Just make sure that it's something you can maintain. Number 7, daily or weekly check-ins, lightweight but effective consistency boosters. And that could be done via Voxer, email, text, DM. Like there's many ways that you could add that in. Number 8, progress tracking plus feedback. So use shared tools to track and coach weekly. So let's say that your clients have a plan and you want to add in progress tracking. So some sort of measurement ability to really dig deep and see where they are in their plan and how they're moving forward. And you can also provide feedback. It could be as simple as a Google Doc with a list of to-dos, and you're able to go in there and make comments on the to-do list. Like, for example, this is something that I have considered adding and I have experimented a little bit with in my own group. So it could be as simple as a Google Doc where they have a weekly to-do list and you're checking in to see how they're doing on that to-do list. You can go into the doc and leave comments. And anytime that you see where they are kind of getting stuck, like I think about this for myself, what are the to-dos I'm resisting the most? And you're popping in to provide coaching to get them over that hurdle. I think this can be a really, really great tool and coaching format. I think that it would probably work best if you have a team member, a VA who can assist and keep this flowing and keep people moving, right? I think there's some real potential there. Number 9, project coaching. So help them finish something. Clear timeline, clear outcome. I have this in my Ready in 3. So this is 3 weeks of coaching, 3 calls, and there is Voxer support for in between the calls. This is when, let's say that you have been wanting to get a course built. I need this for myself. You've been waiting to get this. You've been trying to get this course created and launched out there. You've got some of it done, but 1 month became 2 months, became 6 months, and it's still just sitting there. This is something that, like, Ready in 3 could be really, really helpful, meaning we're gonna push hard. We're gonna get this done, and I will be here to support you in getting that out the door. Okay, but it isn't necessarily a long-term coaching arrangement. And your people have the opportunity then and the option to run through one project coaching scenario and then do another one and another one and another one. Maybe that's the way you prefer to do things altogether rather than a long-term ongoing arrangement. Number 10, VIP day or intensive. One big day, big win, deep dive, done. So I know coaches who do something like this, and some of them will do a VIP day. So one day. Some will do a VIP weekend, or it doesn't have to necessarily be on the weekend, but I know some coaches who will do like a 2 to 3 day kind of thing. It can be similar to the project coaching, right? But this is 3 days rather than 3 weeks. Again, if this fit your audience, right, then that would be ideal. Number 11, one-time audit and follow-up. So provide deep feedback, follow-up after, simple and high impact. An example of this would be, since I am a copywriter, I could do a one-time audit on, let's say, website copy. So I go through and look at your website from top to bottom in terms of copy and look where maybe it's not converting well. Or if it isn't converting well across the board, look to where we need to change things and improve the copy, the messaging, the call to actions, etc. So what this would mean is I do the audit, I go through and look at everything. I provide feedback, and maybe then there's one more follow-up on that. So you receive the feedback, you go through and make changes. I go through and look at it one more time, another pass. That could be whatever you wanted it to be. Number 12, implementation sprint. Oh, and let me go back to that one-time audit and follow-up. This could work for it could work for a business coach. You don't have to be a copywriter or, a web designer or nothing like that. It could work for anything, right? Where you go through, I have a client years ago who would go through and do an audit of their people's signature program. And she would go through that whole program and come back and say, this, and this needs to change. So really you can apply it to anything. So number 12, implementation sprint. This is similar to the project coaching. It's very energizing, short-term coaching, 3 to 7 days, great for launches or creating new habits. So it can be implementation of something around marketing and in business, or it could be more personal development approach where you're putting a new habit in place. Number 13, personalized video coaching library. So send one-to-one video responses to client questions, reusable and high value. So think about something like Loom, where you can do screen share and get, again, like as a copywriter, I could do this instead of one-time audit and follow-up where I am providing Loom videos where I'm reviewing something specific and giving feedback. You could still do this with something that is maybe a mindset approach, right? Where you're sharing, you're just talking on the video, kind of like a vlog style, providing that support. And the cool thing about that is, as I said, your clients then begin to build a library of video responses. It could be one-to-one, it could be small group, right? But then they have this library of videos that they can go back and re-listen to whenever they need to get back on track. Number 14, coach on-call office hours. So open communication blocks for real-time access. This can be done a couple of ways. We see this when using something like Voxer, a voice note platform. So I have a coach whose office hours are every Wednesday, 9 to 5. I can pop in there at any time. I can actually pop in there at any time and ask a question. And then I know that she's going to respond to me during those business hours on Wednesdays. You could take this a step further depending on how many clients you have and offer this as a call-in, right? Or a Zoom call. Pop on a 15-minute, you'd have to set some parameters there, right? Some rules like 15-minute laser sessions, any 9 to 5, so that if you're going to be at your desk, then you're available to jump on these quick calls. It's a great way to connect with your people, especially if you are someone who really loves talking to, if you're very extroverted, that this could be, a perfect fit. All right, so number 15, almost there. Pop-up coaching experiences, short themed events with live or async support. So themed events is the key thing here. So let's say that you're going to do I think of this in like pop-up events, right? So let's say that next month I'm doing a 4-week manifesting pop-up coaching experience. and I could lay out the rules of what that looks like. Maybe I have some laser coaching spots open in there. Maybe it's a Zoom call that anybody can jump on. Maybe it's it's Voxer based only. Maybe it's email based. Who knows? You could mix and match, right? 16, coaching subscription, unlimited access with boundaries, predictable, steady support. So this is similar to, if you think of it from a service-based perspective, retainer, right? That might help you understand the concept of this. So someone pays a monthly subscription to have a certain amount of access to coaching ongoing. 17, laser coaching. So I've mentioned this before, and the idea behind laser coaching is to have unlimited short sessions with rules. So for example, if I offered you unlimited laser coaching sessions every month, for the way that I have seen this done is it's something like, $1,000 for 6 months of laser coaching. And you may think, what? That's like really, really inexpensive and that's too low, right? Like the value is so high. But you need to understand how laser coaching works. And this would enable you to take on a lot of clients in this format. So laser coaching is usually like 15-minute sessions. So you could say 10 to 15, 15 to 20. And clients have access to book their own sessions. So they have access to your calendar, and they can, you can set that up so that nobody can book within in under 24 hours, right? So that you're not, your calendar doesn't become a nightmare. But they book the session. You have the quick session. So they have to come to this session with their questions ready. That's key. They already know what they're coming to work on that session. They ask their questions. You answer them. You give them an assignment. And they cannot book another session until they have completed that assignment. So this is part of the rules that are in place to keep this from getting out of control or overused to the point where it's not helpful to your client. Because if people were able to just book all the time, it's unlikely first that people would do that, because we know enough from observing behavior. People don't typically do that. However, if they did, it wouldn't be the best service to them if they didn't have a requirement to go and implement, right? Because that's what moves them forward and helps them to create progress and get results. So that must be in place. Otherwise, they're just getting more information overload without any implementation. So they have to get their homework done, then they can book another session, and so on and so on. And you can see how that could be really, really powerful, right? To help people experience progress and real results. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how to choose the right format without overthinking it. You don't need to use all 17 formats, and actually, I do not recommend that. That would be overwhelming to you and your people, and chances are people wouldn't choose anything. Just choose the ones that feel good and work for your clients. Choose a few that you're going to experiment with and see where you get takers. And that will give you an idea of what to lean into more of. Ask yourself these questions. Want fewer calls but still connection? Try hybrid, email or Voxer or another voice note platform. Do you want less on time? Remember I said about like being on video and having to be on all the time? Then go async with check-ins, video replies on your own schedule, or a subscription model, or phone only. Need fast income? Offer a pop-up, VIP day, or one-time audit. And then ask, what will work best for my clients and their lives? What do they have time for? How do they process? What kind of mental energy do they have? So think that through. What's going on in their lives? If this is for busy moms, there's not a whole lot of me time. And chances are the time they do have to focus is going to be late in the evening. So that may like a Zoom call is, and then at that point in time, she's going to be wrecked. She's not going to want to have to be on video. Unless, I mean, she has school age children, then that could be, another like during school hours would be key. So you really have to think about your ideal client and what's going on in their life. Remember that sometimes and often, actually oftentimes, the problem isn't the offer itself, it's the format. And changing it can change everything. Choose the format, serve your people, protect your energy. That's a win-win and one you've probably been craving. Hey, thanks so much for joining me for the Solo Coach podcast. It means so much to me that someone out there is listening. Now, if you know it's time to do something different about your business, and you know if it is, consider joining me for my Happy and Successful Business Mastermind, where you can get clarity, support, and a plan. I'll leave details in the notes below. I also want to share a free resource for you. If you haven't already subscribed to my newsletter, Find Coaching Clients, I encourage you to do so. I'll deliver to your inbox tips and strategies that make finding coaching clients for your business much easier. I'll see you next time.